Hi everyone, it's Allie. Thank you for joining me. Today I have a very quick card for you on how to make mistake after mistake and still come out with a good card. I was very determined that this card would work, so I didn't stop. And actually, I really love how it came out. So I used a stamp set from Stampin' Up called To a Wild Rose. And I've had this stamp set for a while and I never used it. So in one of my card groups, we were supposed to make a card that had like a stamped border. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to stamp these flowers and then cut it out and that'll be my border. Well, I don't know why, but I just started stamping and didn't even like think about it or have a plan. So my first mistake was um, the stamping order I did, because as you can see there, those leaves actually should have been under the flowers, and I did it backwards. So I have that little line there, but I thought, because it's a layering stamp, hopefully that line won't be noticeable once I stamp out the flower. So then I cut along that border, and I don't like how I did that. It just looks weird. So I don't know why, in retrospect, why I didn't use that pretty little die there to the left and make my border with that and then just stamp near it. I don't know. But it was just one of those days where I really wanted to craft and sit down, but like everything I did just was a mess. So the leaves came out nice. I just used my Catherine Puller inks there. I'll link all that stuff down in the description. And excuse my hands there, you'll see all the little scratches on me. I made this video closer to when we had gotten a puppy, and he was just real little. Now, I mean, he's still little, but he's 4.5 months now, and about 30 pounds. And he's better. We're still working on, the no nipping, no biting. So, um, but anyway, so back to the card. So I'm going to try to line this up. Now, it's almost like, I can't cut a straight line to save anything. So I'm almost like this with my layering stamps. I love Altenew because they give such good guides, and it's still like I have to keep going back over it to make sure that I'm putting it in the right location. So as you can see there, I was a little off, but I thought, okay, that's not so bad, right? So then I'm going to do the next one. And I did stamp a third flower right there on that paper. So, this did not start off that bad. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to keep going. And you can also see really good here how I stamped the flowers because I did not mask them. So the flower on the top is over the bottom flower, which I should have masked off because they shouldn't be layered like that. But I just decided to go on. So my son during this whole thing was talking to me too, and I think my attention was just totally not focused on this, so this is why I was having such a hard time. So then I'm trying to put the second layer on, and I just could not figure out where it was supposed to go. And I just kept flipping it and looking through it, and I just couldn't figure it out. So eventually, I just stamp it down. I mean, it didn't come out too bad, but I definitely was off on it. But like I said, I'm just going to keep going, and then I'm going to try to stamp the ones above it. And those came out, I have to say, a lot worse. But what are you going to do? So anyway, so now I'm looking because I'm trying to figure out how I got that wrong. And that's an old block by Close to My Heart. And I have cleaned that block and cleaned that block. And that is the only one that I cannot, it's very cloudy. And I can't get that cloudiness off. Now, but I can still see through it. It's just, I don't know. I guess I'm just one of those people who I just cannot line things up that great. So I really wish Stampin' Up! Would put in like a little stamping guide, sort of like, I don't know if you're familiar with Altenew, but they do that and it's awesome. Like that is my Bible to look at. So I'm going to mess around with this for a long time to try to stamp that down. And, now looking at it, I should have just stamped it. I probably would have came out with the same thing. So now I'm looking at the box and I'm like, okay, where can I look? What points can I line up to try to figure out? And then I'm like, well, I stamped the flowers upside down to begin with. So I'm like, maybe that's part of my problem. So I'm looking at the correct way on the box and then my way, which is upside down. And there we go. So look at that. Way off. So, you would think after all that time, you trying to get that down, that it would be closer. So, and that little paper there, I just die cut one of the leaves so I could at least cover that part. And then I just ended up throwing that away. So then I did it again, even worse. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? I just can't do it right. Do you ever have these days? Now, I would like to know, if you do have these days, do you just throw it out and start brand new? Or do you keep going and going and going to see what you can do with it? So I have said before on my channel that I do not like to restart and I don't like to give up. So this one's a little bit better. So I'm like, okay. So then I stamped it again just to get some more of that red color. And then I totally went out of the lines. So then I did stamp off camera. I just stamped the middles there to make those a little bit more pronounced. And then I'm going to die cut that one flower out. Thank goodness that I die cut it the right way, because I don't know, with this card you could never know. So I'm going to die cut that out, and then I'm going to kind of play with some of the placement here, because I decided, well, what can I do with that card to kind of cover what I did with that stamping, because it is just truly a mess. And with me sending this to someone, I want it to look as good as I can, and I kept thinking I'm probably going to have to throw this out. So I saw that one die in there, and I thought, okay, well, I can probably use that die and cover up some of that. So I got some paper out. It is Stampin' Up! Paper that kind of matched those colors, and I am going to die cut that out, and I'm going to end up putting that over the other flowers. So that hid most of my mistake. So I was very, very happy with the way that came out. And then I didn't show it on camera, but I played with a bunch of papers to put behind my panel, just to jazz it up. But I ended up just going with the same color that I cut that tag out with. That just seemed to look the best. So now I'm just going to kind of play around with my placement here to see what I can do the best way to fix that. And all the while, you will see he actually did not have his foot in the way, but my kitty was sitting up there watching me, which he likes to make appearances in my videos. So you will see him at the end. So I used my Versaclear Nocturne ink to stamp my sentiment, and I just put a hello on there. When I send cards, it wasn't a specific sentiment, so sometimes I just like to put something like that, because then the card can be used for multiple occasions. And then to jazz up the card a little bit, I ended up pulling out some of my little Stampin' Up! Pearls, and I added those. And I actually really love how that card came out. I hope you like it too. Let me know. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.